Alright, guys, you are welcome to the Python tutorial series. Uh, the last time we looked at how we can create, how we can use the instance as attributes when we discovered our attribute is actually growing at a very fast pace. Instead of just having a fixed value for our attribute, we may want to create a separate class that will take care of more information about the attribute. So when we now create the attribute, instead of just referring to a particular, instead of the attribute just referring to a particular value, the attribute will be assigned an instance, as in this case, an instance of class battery. Now today we shall go on to study about how we can organize our code in Python clean, make our code clean, and how we can model real-world object and some of the styles that are being used, which are the conventions. One important thing you will see as you continue to solve problems writing programs is you always often get to a point where you need to make a decision as to what should be in a class and as to what attributes, what methods you should have in a particular class and which one should go into another class. Essentially, the answer to this question is that this will come with experience. As you begin to write, you will often discover that there will be need from time to time for you to modify your classes, modify what are the attributes and methods that are contained in a particular class, and you might see the need to be able to create a separate class to handle these things. And it's also domain specific, or what I can say problem specific, as to which method should belong to which class and which classes are related. All these are a little bit complicated because it depends on what kind of problem you are actually solving, you're trying to model. But as you continue, you discover that this begin to jump out to you, make it clear. So there's no really hard and fast route to it. You can just start with a dirty approach and make sure it works. Then you can begin to now refine that and to make it clean and look better. All right. So now in order to help in that approach, you have a mechanism by which you can actually create your code to make it clean, and that is in importing classes. All along we have been seeing examples of we creating our class, all our classes inside just one particular file. But here now we'll be looking at how we can make use of several files, more than one file, to be able to make sure that in a single file our code is not too long. You see here that I'm already having to scroll multiple pages for me to be able to see everything in my code. So it will be better for us to just keep our code as just a one page like this where we can see everything, and every other thing we can move it to another file. So how do we do that? So that's what the import help us to do. So it help us to be able to make sure that our code is not too long. So there are several ways you can import a single class, and the easiest way for you to just import a single class into your file is just for you to one way is for you to say, okay, if you have named your file that you want to import, if you are naming it car.py, that is with a small letter, and you are moving your car class into that file, then you can just say from car import car. We'll see that in an example shortly. And you can also import multiple classes if you have more than one class. So you just are just saying from car import car, you can import as many that you want to. So you can import from car electric car, you can import from car car. So you can have multiple classes from you can import multiple classes from your module. We'll see that shortly in an example. It's better explained using an example, just giving us an overview. So if you are importing multiple classes, you can put a comma between the two, or you can write it separately. You can say from car, this car is the name of the module, and this is the name of the class. You see this is capital letter and this is small letter. We also see that that's a convention that is being used in Python standard library, program library. So it means that inside the car, a file called car.py, we are importing two classes. One is called the car with capital C, another one is called the electric car. So we can import an entire module if you don't want to specify each of the class. Maybe you have so many classes there and you don't want to continue to list all of them. You can just import the entire module by just saying import car, and once you do that, all the classes that are inside the car.py module will be available, and for you to reference that, you just use the module name .car. So this is the syntax. You use the module name and you put a dot class name syntax. So here, car with small letter is the module name, car with capital letter is the class name, car module name, electric car is the class name. You can import all the classes from a module all at once by just saying from car import as step, but this is not recommended because you might run into name conflict issues and it becomes difficult to know which class is from which module. You can import a module into a module if your file is dependent on another file, so you can import that module into the module that you need, and we'll see that shortly in an example. For example, here what it's saying is, if you move here, you have a car called a module called car with small letter, and you are importing car inside electric car. You might also, like inside this you're having here, you are importing each module separately. So here you have two modules. You are creating this file, my cars.py. You have two modules, separate modules. One is called car, the another one is called electric car. One is called car, the another one is called electric underscore car. So from car module you are importing the car class. From electric underscore car module you are importing the electric car. So you are having two modules that you are importing into a single class. But you can import a module inside of a module, and we will see that shortly. Okay, so let's just go to the examples so that we can demonstrate all these things clearly. Alright, so this is what we already have, and we need to break this down. So I have inside inside my coding underscore series folder, I have this main.pow, and in the main.pow, this is what I have there. So I have in this main.pow, I have all this written there. As you can see, this is main.pow. So inside the main.py, I have three classes. I have a class called car, I have another class called electric car, I have another class I'm supposed to have again the battery class. So let's get that so that we can have the battery class. So let's quickly get the battery class inside there. So there should be the battery class. So these are battery class. So we already have it. Okay, so we have the class called car, we have another class called battery, and we have the electric car. Yeah, so we have all this there. So now, as you can see, this is already long. So what can we do to be able to clean up our code so that we move some of these classes into a different module? Essentially, when we say different module, we're saying a different file. So there are many ways we can do that. The one simplest way for us to do that is for us to say, okay, let's move the class car into a different module, and let's also move the this class electric car into a different module. So let's just do that and make that as an approach. But then before I move it, let's first of all test our code and make sure it is working the way it should work. So let's see. I want to run this code now called main.py. So I have Python main.py. So we have a syntax error. Let's see what's happening there in line 15. Okay, so we should have the formatted string is working in Python 3. So let's use Python 3. Okay, so that works. So we have an attribute error, object no attribute. Okay, so let's see that. So we have a class called battery, and we have not given it the get range battery object has no attribute get range. So let's fix that. So in a electric car and a battery class, we should have a get range. So this is get range. We didn't put this there. So we already have describe battery and init. So we have init, we have describe battery. So we just copy that there and we properly format it and remove this in, and this goes in, this, and this goes in. Now we save that and let's rerun that. So we now have everything working the way we want it to work. So what is being executed is actually this. So this is what is being executed. So here we are creating an object called electric car. Yeah, so we're putting inside the variable my Tesla, and we're using that variable, that instance variable, to be able to access the available method to get descriptive name, and that is what is giving us this car as 75 kilowatt. You'll have seen it in that's what is giving us 2019 Tesla Model House. You'll have seen it in our previous tutorial. Then we are using the same reference variable. We are using it to get describe battery. So we're saying my battery dot my Tesla, we reference dot battery. Then we are now referencing the function describe battery, and that's what is giving us this car as 75 kilowatt of battery. You understand this better when you have gone through the previous tutorials that we have made. And we have this my Tesla dot battery dot get range. So this get range is inside this place class battery. So you have this get range because of class battery. And what does it say? It just says that range, it says if the cell battery is 75, it gives the range as 260, and if not, so if you want to access so we're not really doing anything with this here, so I might just so what get range is just doing is it will just assign the range to either 260, we even have it duplicated here. Oh, we have it there before, so it was not just properly formatted. So we can delete this one. Yeah, so sorry about that. So this should be here so that it can print properly. So this can give us what we need. So when we rerun this, it will tell us information about what's that. This card can go about that on a full range. Okay, so that's what is printing here. That is range. This has to get inside here. Has to be on this same level as that. We save it. So it's not giving us the correct thing. So this card can go about in 260 because the battery size is 75. It assigns the range to 260. Okay, so we have our code clean up now and we can see what it's doing. Just like to test it one more time. Let's see what's happening again, just for us to see it one more time. So I can go down again. Let me create another one. Yeah. So let me say my Tesla 2 and keep this one 2 and the model is 2 and I say it is year 2020. Okay, so we can now this way, so we can now use that reference to be able to do whatever we want to do with that. So we can use that to get the, so I can just comment all these ones. I can put these ones in comment. Okay. There's a way to comment there. Edit comment. So we just comment all of that. So we comment all of that. So selection. Let's edit comment. Okay. All right. So we now have our new reference that we have created. So here, what do? We want to get descriptive name. So the descriptive name will be taken from the class car here. Is the descriptive name. Okay, so it's coming from there, and then we initialize. So when we run this again, so we can run this again, and so when we run it, clearly it gives us a new thing that we are. Let's rerun that. So it gives us the descriptive name, that is 2020 Tesla 2 Model S2, and we can, as many methods that are available to us, we can just use it here. So we can use as many methods that are available to us. So another method that's available to us in the electric car, we have the battery. So we can use it to access the battery, and we can use it to access the battery size, because this will give us an instance, and when we get to battery, we can use that to get the battery size, which defaults to 75. So that would give us the battery size. So by the time we print that out, that should give us 75. Alright, so our code is working. So the reason for doing this is to ensure that our code is actually working well with this long file, because we just want to clean up our code using the import. So the first way we can just do is just to simplify things. We can move this car, the whole of this car, and move it away. The class car, where does this and so the class car ends here. So we can take the whole of this and cut it off and create a new file, and we dump it here, and we name it so I'm going to name it in my coding series. So I am naming it, it's showing on my other screen, so I'm naming it car small letter dot py. So that you can see it, I want you to look at here. So this will show here. So I'm naming it car dot py, which is the small the small letter convention. So you will see that here. So that's the new file, which is a module. So we now have all those code inside this module car.py. So but if I still run this main now, if I resave it and I run this main, I will run into problem because what I need is no longer there. So I will run into problem because name car is not defined. So how can I do that? So the way to do that is I have to import car. So one of the ways is I can say from the module car I can import everything. So once I do that and I run this, then you can see it's working as we expected. But this is not the best way of doing it, like we saw when we're going through this, that this is discouraged. We don't want to import everything by using the asterisk, because it will not allow us to be able to we can run into naming problems. So this is not recommended. So the better way for us to do will be, okay, let's from car import the particular class that we need, which is car. So this is car. So this is the car.py module. The name of the module is small letter car.py, and the name of the class is capital letter C car. So we import that. So once we import that, then anywhere inside our this place that we need to use this, we can now specifically reference this. Okay, so we now have the car there, and we can see here that our code is working properly again. But to make it cleaner, so that we can actually see, because there are different ways we can import the entire module. It's better for us to actually we can precede that car.car this way, so you can see that it's actually coming from there. Okay, then we can now call the name of the class. So here I've imported the car, so I don't need to start aliasing this with car.car. I hope you understand that, like we have in this case. Okay, so but let's say that I just say import car. Let's say I just say import car, and I didn't specify the particular car. Let's see what will happen. You see, it gives us a problem there. Alright, gives us a problem here, because though we have import car, that means everywhere we're using the car class, we have to start doing the alias by saying car.car, and I think for me that would be too much of a problem. So I would prefer this. Once you know that you are going to use the car class, so the best thing is just for us to just import that car. Just import the car, and so everywhere we have the car, we can just see it already. So anywhere we're using the car, okay, so we're using the car here in this place, it will just automatically take that class. All right, okay, so that makes a lot of sense. So by doing this, we have already we have created a module, and we have imported the module here. So let's do something more. We still have this thing long. Can we do something more? Okay, we can do something more. Just depends on the way we want to. We can look at, okay, let's move this battery, class battery, and electric car. These two classes, let's move them away so that we just have this alone remaining in our main.py. So how do we do that? So we copy all these ones, everything here. Okay, so we say we take this away, we create a new file here, and what can we name it? Everything I said, we can call it my electric car, or electric, let's use their name in here. They use electric underscore car. So we can say, okay, we're going to name this electric underscore car. So let's save it. So I'm going to save it electric, small letter. Then we use an underscore because it's a module name. We always use small letter for module name and for function name. We use capital letter for class name. That's the convention. So I'll save it. You can see here electric underscore car.py. So what do I now do now? Let's see whether our code is going to run, which it will not. So if I save that main, I need to save this. Okay, so let me save. So it will give us a problem now. It will not run. Why? Because it no longer has access to electric car. Okay, it doesn't have access to electric car class, so it doesn't have access. So we can say from electric underscore car, which is the module, we can import what we need, which is what the class electric under electric car. That is the class that we need. So let's see that it should still give us a problem because we don't have battery. Yeah, it still gives us a problem because we don't have the battery. We have not imported the battery. Okay, you can even see that it says name car is not defined, but that's not even the problem. It's not that name car is not defined because we have car here already imported. The problem is actually the battery. So this is not even giving us what we expected. Okay, so let's look here. So inside this battery, this another problem here. Inside this electric underscore car module, we are making reference, we are inheriting car, and we have not imported it inside this module. So we have to import module into another module. So from car module, since we are using the car class, we have to import car for this to work. So that will take care of some problems. So let's see. And it's already taking care of everything we need. So you can see now we have the car, which in this one is a module, car.py. It has the car class, and we are not importing anything here because it's not dependent on anything, so it's independent. Now we have another module, electric underscore car, which has two classes, battery and electric car. But because we are inheriting car, which is not inside this module, which is in another module called car. We have to import it. Now we are now in main.py. Here we are creating electric car object, which is in another module. So we have to import the module electric underscore car and import the class electric car. So here we don't even need this. We don't need to import car here because we are not using it. Although we are using it, but because we have already imported this module electric underscore car, and this module electric underscore car has already import car, then automatically car class has been imported here. So that's why we are not having any issue. Very interesting, but it requires a number of practice for us to be able to actually understand and get used to it. So that's all is happening there. We can also use alias, which is instead of you just typing the full name, you can just use an alias. So instead of saying import from electric car, import the electric car, instead of just typing electric car here, you can just use EC here. And since EC is not defined, you can just type as EC here. So instead of typing electric car in full every time, you just have that EC will just give us what we need, and that does not affect our code. So the same thing here, you can import our car as C here, and so instead of in electric car, we can just put C here, and that will work. But I will just leave that alone because this is still not too long, so this is still good enough. All right, so that's what the alias is saying. So finding your own workflow, it's making sure when you have a large project, you keep your structures in place. The Python standard library, I have a number of libraries, just follow the modules. For instance, here we have the module called random, and you're importing the function called random. That means what this is saying is I can declare in this class. So in this module car, I have the class car. I can define a function that is not inside that class car. I can define a function. I can just say my func, okay, and I define that function, and I say print my func. So what does that mean? So you see here that this function is not inside this class. That's why it's not even taking the self. So it's not inside this class car, but it's inside the module car. I hope you understand that. So when I come in here to just make things easy, so when I come in here, I can say from car I can import the function my func. So I can import that function my func, and here I can use the my func. I can just call my func here, and it will print out whatever it is that is implemented inside this place. So let's see that in code. So I clear this, and let's run this. Okay, there's a problem there. Our function should have it should have a bracket, but it's not taking self. So you see that it's just printing my func out, which is what I just typed in here. So that's what just wanted to see, that it's not the name that is printing. So you see that it's just printing this my func out. So even though we have so inside a module we can have a class, Inside a class, we can have a number of functions, or we can even have a function on its own that is not inside any class, and we can import it just like we are importing the class. All right, so that's what's happening here. But this is from the Python standard library that we get after during the installation. So in summary, class name I mentioned should capitalize the first letter of every word. Module name and function name should be small letters. Always have a doc string. Keep a space between your classes, 2 spaces, 2 lines between your classes, a single line between methods, and that's essentially that. Thank you for listening, and do give us a like if you have benefited from this, and see you in the next one. Thank you.